Oh, this is the pyramids. My um treasure of home from home. I never seen have seen the pyramids. I didn't see them at all, except the tip of the big pyramids while I was in a cab driving, going to the airport to immigrate to America. Sadly enough, I did not see that, and it will be if I ever see it as a tourist like everybody else. The naturalistic objective theory. This theory states that something happened to the disciples, but it is related to their external faculties. But still, it was not a bodily appearances. They did actually see something, but some of these were not real, and it cannot be captured by a video camera. A ghost. They have seen something. It was a ghost. And they claim that a spiritualist, someone who prepare ghosts, produced this phenomena. He made the ghost to appear and disappear over and over again in front of the disciples, and then the disciples thought that it was a resurrected Jesus. Now, the spiritual medium person had to follow the disciples and prepare a ghostly appearance whenever he wants without the disciples' knowledge, which is not the custom really of preparing ghosts. They have to be in a room, quiet, dark, on a table, and all of these things. So it doesn't fit really the story. Also, it is really difficult to accept that a ghost will have a Christ-like speeches as the gospel record them. And if the spiritual medium, the person, assuming that he has control of the appearances, he would limit himself to one location instead of rushing from Emmaus to Jerusalem to Galilee. I mean, he will make all the appearances in one place, which will make more sense and to be more logic. They saw something, the disciples, yes, but it was a mistaken identity. They saw someone who looked like Jesus, and they believed that that person is the resurrected Christ. They saw a twin brother of Jesus who represented him, and this led to the conclusion that he was raised from the dead. Of course, the mistaken person, or the person who looked like Jesus, has to inflict himself with fresh deadly wounds to convince the disciples that he is the one. He needs to be able to disappear and appear at will in front of them, like the Emmaus disciple, or entering the room when the 10 disciples were gathered. A twin brother who suddenly appeared after 33 years of nothing is hard to accept, plus the wounds he has to inflict on himself. Now, I feel like, who is willing to represent a person who is a blasphemer and an enemy of the Jewish leader, an enemy of the state? Everybody want to distance himself from him, and all of a sudden someone will say, no, I am that person. Maybe come again, hang me again. And I mean, I don't think it's logic. And what happened to that mistaken identity person? Did he live a long life after that? Got married and died later on? Where is his tomb? Very weak theory. The soon escape theory is something that had its own success time. Jesus didn't die really. He just went to a coma, or fainted from the pain, the trauma of the crucifixion. When he was put in the tomb, the cool air or atmosphere revived him, and he was able to get out of his wrapped cloth and the tomb, and he appeared to the disciples. What the disciples really saw was not the resurrected Jesus. It was the real person who just didn't die at all, who was just fainted and came back from that fainting process. The response to this idea, I shrank it to this because it was a lot. Now we're going to assume that the Roman soldiers who are expert in execution couldn't, kill one person, and they reported his death when they need to break his leg for him to die, but they said he is dead. So we're going to doubt their expertise in killing and their expertise in identifying a dead person. The spear that they thrusted him in his side, blood and water came. Blood and water, in a medical term, is a sign of someone who had pulmonary edema or a severe case of congestive heart failure. His lungs were full with fluid because the heart failed to pump the blood outside this area of the lung, and it was congested. That is a sign of someone who died. We have also Joseph and Nicodemus, who prepared him during his burial, and they would have discovered if he is still breathing or still alive. He had many wounds and injuries, and the natural law, talking about, they talk about science and logic. I mean, here is the logic. Someone who has dehydration, he said, I'm thirsty, and he has sepsis, and he has wounds, and these nails, we have horses, they can have tetanus and infection. And then we're gonna say that after all of that, a cool air of the tomb healed him or make him feel better. And then he stayed 40 hours without food or drink, got himself out of the cloth, pushed a heavy rock blocking the tomb, walked many miles to convince his follower that he is the victorious Lord over death. That doesn't really fit. And in the past, it went out of favor, and it's coming again. I don't know why. The same theme, I'm repeating it, like what is more likely, what is more logically, what is more making sense, what is more reasonable. If the bodily appearance hypothesis is the one, then it should be believed.